Today we are going to be going over um, the different areas of the game board for Fab A Diffy, and we're going to be talking about how to start the game, and we're also going to touch on what is a trick. So today we're going to be getting into some of the actual gameplay. So if you remember in the last video, we just talked about the goal of the game, but now we're going to get into some of the rules. So first off, let's just review some terminology when it comes to our Fab A Diffy game board. So the deck and the show box are easy to remember because they are labeled. So the deck is where all the cards that haven't been played yet or that are going to be turned over are placed. And the show box, we'll touch more on that later when we talk about what a trick is. But the show box is almost like your target number, and we'll talk more about that later. But these 3 rectangles are the center rectangles, and these 8 rectangles are the action rectangles. So if you hear me make a reference to one of these places on the game board, just remember that that's what I'm referring to. So let's get started with the start of the game. So how do we start the game? We start off by deciding who gets to play first. So in order to do that, we take our fraction strips, shuffle them, and then we place them right here on the deck spot. Then each of the players gets to pick 1 fraction strip. So I am player A, I have pulled this fraction strip, and I am now player B. Player B has pulled that fraction strip. So the player who gets the lower value starts the game. Now what would happen if, let's say, this was 0/12 instead of 10/12? Then the 2 fraction strips are equal, so each of the players will draw another fraction strip from the deck. So after this is done, the beginning player turns. So these two fraction strips are discarded, or they're put back into the deck. And then the player who got the fraction strip with the lower value begins. So they go ahead and they turn over the fraction strips and put them onto the 3 center rectangles. And then they also do one on the show box. Then what they would do is they can start the gameplay now. So this is their original, this is their starting layout, and then they have to start making tricks and getting those tricks, and the person with the most tricks wins. So this is how you start off the game, and now we're going to be going over what is a trick. So a trick is a set of 3 fraction strips, and out of those fraction strips, 2 have to be from the center and action rectangles, and 1 has to be from the show box. So in this scenario, the show box is always what we're trying to make out of the fraction strips that are on the action rectangles and center rectangles. So we are trying to make 1/6 out of these 3 fractions. Out of 2 of the 3 fractions, sorry. So, are there any ways with just adding and subtracting? You're only allowed to use adding and subtracting in Fab A Diffy, adding and subtracting fractions. Are there any ways that you can make this either sum or difference? There is a way if you see it. You can see that 6/12 minus 4/12 is equal to 1/6. And now I have a trick for finding tricks. No pun intended. Anyway, I have a trick for finding tricks that I will be talking about in a future video, and one of the tricks videos for the series. So I'll be making tips and tricks videos and also rules videos. So in a future video, I will talk about that trick. But here, just using our knowledge, we can see that. And a way you can kind of visualize it in your head is like this. So you can see that this minus this is equal to this. And so that would be a trick. And so in future videos, I'll go over capturing a trick and announcing a trick. But that is it for this video. Thank you for joining me. I'll really appreciate it if you leave your comments, feedback, and further suggestions for additional learnings below.